Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Resident Evil 4 with the Fan HD mod. We're doing the Separate Ways. I guess you'd almost call it DLC, although it really wasn't DLC ever. Extra content, I guess is what you would have called it. Section. Playing as Ada Wong, even though Simon Ada also plays as Ada Wong. And we're halfway through the chapter 2, which is basically having us go through almost the entirety of the village section. But our guns are way more upgraded, so running through the whole process is not particularly hard. One of the things I think worth mentioning is that, well, that was probably a waste of bullets. In the GameCube version of the game, really didn't have the ability to look up that far and shoot upward. So when the Wii version of the game came out and you had just a much easier game because you could move, and I think there was a lot more auto aiming at that point, you could look up in that section. This would be the section in particular where the giant boulder would have been pushed after Leon, and instead you just have a couple of Ganados, nothing else. Doesn't seem like there's a treasure anywhere, or any kind of nest to shoot. So this would be a great point, for instance, to maybe have an insect character do something, or possibly have the bat mean something or do something. Yep. See, if the bats, for instance, could attack Ada because of her, like, backless dress here, that would be interesting as a twist. And then these little warning signs in particular just don't mean as much now, because this would have been a point where there would have been explosives normally, but it's just not the case here. There might be kill the spider. Just spiders for no reason, and the spiders, unlike snakes, don't seem like they're really dangerous. Of course, that's dangerous. Certainly. I guess maybe the more of this is the general idea of getting the guys to blow up from more of a distance. Alright, let's just see if we can... Come on. That's what we needed. There's just kind of this limitation in the game here as far as just how much you can really cram onto the screen. Separate Ways was added to the PS2 version of the game, but the PS2 version versus the like GameCube / Wii versions are not that big of a difference as far as CPU and GPU. Like, the biggest gap as far as different consoles by far is like Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5. Interesting. That triggered a cutscene. Supposed to be saving Lewis, and I guess we got close enough to the building that it triggered the cutscene of them being carried out. Leon still has his coats, and those cutscenes still look really, really bad. I assume those are just pre-rendered cutscenes of which there's no better source, and they didn't want to go. The fan-made HD mod didn't want to straight up try and reanimate things, because that would be fairly intensive. Like that wouldn't be hard to do it right, hard to be true to the original content, hard not to go wild in different directions by adding new content or changing it drastically. Whereas really the rest of the game has been fairly loyal to making the game feel like it has been, for lack of a better term, unmolested and unchanged, even though it has been changed quite a bit as far as the 3D textures. This looks and feels like the game I remember, although particularly in Separate Ways, since I didn't play Separate Ways that much. There's not a lot of memories or nostalgia I have here around this. You'd almost expect that there would be a boss fight. Because you're getting to this end here, and so getting to this end section would kind of make some sense if there was something here more than just a zombie or a ganado. Not really zombies. There's literally no zombies in this game at all. Which maybe there should have been some zombies in this extra content. We're going through this game fast enough that, yeah, it feels fine to just save over our save files. I don't think I'm running too high of a risk there. Right. The treasure piece is in the other cave. Yep. I guess the general idea here is just to look and listen. See if anybody's gonna take me on. Yeah, you would think the running back would lead to a fairly quick, fast encounter with somebody. It doesn't make the most amount of sense. Should probably just walk past the bats. Yeah, you probably needed at least one guy. Yeah, I missed all of those guys, or those guys literally just could not. Now, shotgun shells are going to have reduced usage, so if I am going to use shotgun shells, I probably should run up faster. Yeah, I just don't think you're gonna ever upgrade your capacity to any level that matters, so it's probably better to always have everything refilled. And see, if a boulder was gonna come after you in this section, like, you'd have to do some kind of crazy, like, double backflip or something to avoid a boulder in that case. If anything, this kind of highlights the problem that you would run into. Let's see, now I have to run all the way over here to then run back all the way over here. This is kind of the problem you'd run into with having the game really focus around the idea of running back and forward a lot more, and how bad of an experience that potentially can be. What is that? Oh, we're at like spooky dogs. But that's not a spooky dog. That's the other dog. But a lot of the cows are missing. Interesting. No, none of the cows are missing, I guess. It would be kind of shocking to find a zombie right where the save spot was. None of the things in this environment have respawned, so I don't think there's a lot to do here. And so I guess it's just a case that the dog was there just to storyline make sense. And then we're back going through the village. Now, is the idea here that the idea that it's getting later in the evening and perhaps they are becoming stronger because of the Lost Plagueis inside them? That might be the case, but does that line up with the timeline? Quite right. And there's Leon's coat. Yep, and trying to knife anybody doesn't really work. I think there's maybe one more guy around here, but maybe not. And yeah, I don't think any of the refillables are back in this either. Like, if I was gonna run into anything, I'd think it would be up here. And yeah, I'm just not seeing anything. There's very possibly like one zombie somewhere here that I'm missing, but probably isn't really worth looking for him either. Map-wise, yeah, we're going towards the location of the guy with Leon's coat. The cow that I shot before has respawned. I guess it was generally the idea that they just wanted to give you a group. There's Leon's coat. See if we can just get double our value. And so he's a non-despawning character, and you can't like take his jacket or anything. Leon just loses it. So was that a glaring plot hole that needed to be addressed as to what happened to Leon's jacket? Not really. It's ridiculous to answer that question. Obviously they just were going for a cinematic feel in the game, and they wanted to change the general appearance of Leon several times throughout the game, and they found at least one way to change his appearance there. Noticeably, if you are trying to find cinematic excuses, there's another pre-rendered cutscene that looks way worse. So Leon has woken up and is now making his way back towards the center of the village. The lake would have been a perfect point for Leon to be wet and change his clothes because of that.
Hay un rumor que hay un extranjero entre nosotros.
Nuestro jefe se cuidará de la rata. Si la plaga es mucho mejor que la nuestra.
So
Tienes razón. Es un hombre.
it doesn't look like it's Sadler and them talking after all, which is weird. I guess my information was wrong, that it was Sadler and Salazar talking to each other. It honestly would make not a lot of sense that Sadler and Salazar would be in this house, of all places.
What? Same blood.
And so we're just seeing the same cutscenes with a little bit more context. So canonically, you do go back in the room, and Ada saves the day, which I think probably highlights that in the main game it is fairly possible to assume that all cutscenes should be seen, and that all cutscenes are canonical, short of the ones where Leon dies. It would make a lot more sense why they have a tranquilizer dart when they never use it anywhere else in the game. I have no idea. And there's like this special tranquilizer gun that you don't see anywhere else in the game, and that also looks awful. So here was that sacrificial slab in the cave, and we see what they were going to do. Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense that each boss is in charge of his own area. Take note there in the cutscene, they went through great effort to have the dress not curve in a more natural way and expose her underwear, assuming she is wearing underwear. And yet, they also counterintuitively went through great effort to show off a cut on her leg. So this moves you a little bit and changes the pattern somewhat. We now have a green cat's eye, which means we are potentially looking for the beer stein. Again, I'm more than happy to just reload everything here and potentially risk making a mistake there. Yeah, green cat's eye though would imply that this is a cat's eye and this is a cat's eye, and that doesn't quite make a lot of sense. Oh yeah, cat's eye here, cat's eye here, cat's eye, beer stein here, or some combination like that. You can't check this at all. We just haven't seen the merchant recently, so we can't take advantage of a sniper rifle if we were going to shoot from this section, which you would have thought that there would have been some kind of challenge here to shoot things from this section, but nope. There's nothing to that. This game definitely is way more willing and way more happy to let you take massive amounts of damage through TNT. In a lot of ways, I guess this is almost the good idea versus bad idea comparison, as far as the game showing you what the good ideas would have looked like and what the bad ideas would have looked like in separate ways, because they definitely are introducing some bad ideas. And since we were kidnapped and asleep, then we know that it is now nighttime, and we saw our first Las Plagas character. Let's see. Then just squeeze over here and take this. Get our health up. Pick that. I'm just mashing the X button 4 or 5 times before it actually lets me do it. Alright. So, if this is going to play out the way I think, I may have very little room for the rifle. You can sell that, that, and that, and just keep the cat's eye. This is the iron key, which is not, I think, the lift key.
Got a selection of good things. What are you selling?
One thing I think that this game does allow for more is
that all? Thank you. Ah. Thank you.
buying the health sprays.
Thank you. What are you
Like,
buying?
I think you can get that way more often. Although not now.
Is that all?
Right. So that was considerably less than I was worried about as far as having weapons. I'm not in the best position, certainly, still. There's potentially at least one more bow. 80,000 pesetas, though.
Thank you.
Definitely seems crazy. And I don't know if I really need the scope at all. Ever.
Come back any time.
This very possibly is just a kind of a case where the game is not really giving you that much. In all fairness, this is the one thing that an HD mod may change quite a bit, is that just at higher resolutions, the zoom and the accuracy in which you can shoot at things may becomes a little bit easier. I can't imagine I really would need a scope. Like, I'm all the way over here and I can see all the way to the other side of the level. Alright. Guess we'll stick with this. And to have just that much extra pesetas, 44,000 pesetas, when we're not going to be able to upgrade anything seems crazy, unless we are going to be able to upgrade things, which maybe we are. See, this is where his shop eventually gets. We are just making real good progress here. And so I guess maybe the iron key here opens this door, and then by the time Leon reaches this point, then like the gate is open, the door's unlocked. Would make a lot of sense why for a lot of things to be locked in the game, and they aren't. More and more probably do want to use this if I'm going to use anything. What's weird here is this introduces part of the problem and the inconsistency of having Ada do the same fight in that she is, I think, going to fight the boss here, even though the boss is perfectly healthy when Leon fights the boss. So I don't know how you really account for that. Well, I guess you account for that by not actually having them fight the boss, and instead having it fight chainsaw people. Seems fairly obvious that this chainsaw lady has a key on her necklace. I don't know. And that never happened once in the main game. Alright. Yeah, it just never even occurred once in the main game that a chainsaw guy got close enough to me to chainsaw my head off. Although it could have, because I don't think that has really anything to do with your health level or anything like that. You get a cutscene here, which I think highlights that you can't attack them. There we go. I could have also taken on that fight with the TMP. That character may decide to step up and attack me again. Is there anything else? Leon jumps out of that area, but I guess I'm just walking straight out of the front door. And then there's just a whole bunch of stuff. You know, it would have been funny if the mercenary, or the shopkeeper, gave you a bunch of items to leave for Leon, and instead told you to pick up like gold or pesetas or some other tokens, and you became just the person who is placing all of the items downward. That really wouldn't be much of a Resident Evil game, though. At that point it would be some other kind of almost hidden object style game where you would actively be looking for places. Something closer maybe to Visceral Cleanup Crew, if anything. And yeah, that was that fight. And that went easier because I wasn't fighting the boss guy, which makes more sense. Not really using the hook shot. Almost would have made some sense if she hook shotted herself. out of certain areas. Wasted a bunch of bullets there. I got hit, but mostly accomplished my goals. Is it worth saving again? Possibly not, but whatever. Is it worth it to not reload this? No. We don't have a ton of sniper rifle bullets, so I guess the question to ask is 15 damage versus about 3 damage. They kind of want us to snipe people, I think, in this next section. But first things first would be to just use the handgun up. I think that guy got knocked over the edge, and yet they still teleported his body back onto the platform. Man, I am missing quite a lot there. Just let it get closer. I don't know how close I really would want to let it get, though. Like, he's still here.
Welcome. Got a selection of good. What are you selling?
And I guess I could potentially sell these for a bunch, or sell this for 3,000. But I almost think I would prefer to just sit and wait.
Come back anytime.
It would make almost more sense if you so Ada was the one that activated the lift. It would make more sense if you were buying ammo in this mode and there was only gold around. Okay. I don't see anything there. Not seeing anything over here. So either they don't spawn until we hop on. It would almost make more sense that they would try and jump directly on the platform you're on more. Also wouldn't be surprised if this is just straight a cutscene. Yep. Well, so much for using the sniper rifle. It just couldn't think of a different sequence to do there. There should have been something. Even if it was just something silly. But you could do something very silly there. Honestly, you could have balloons pop up and Wesker, Ada just shooting the balloons for fun. A little target practices of some sort. We could have done something like that. So we're not exiting to the castle. We are instead going to the El Gigante fight area, which I guess there will either be an El Gigante there or something else. Although it'd be hard to put some other characters. This must be where that little runt I've read about is holed up. Interesting. With that added familiarity to where the enemies would be and where the layout would be in this game, there's a lot more opportunity for subverting expectations. Yeah. And I don't think the game does particularly the best job in embracing that. Like, there definitely are some hallways that were safe before, and then you walk into them in separate ways, and there happens to be a couple zombies. But nothing big enough. Nothing big enough to really feel like the game has tricked you or betrayed your trust. Like, you'd expect that there would have been a zombie in this area, and there just isn't. Or that you would open this door and then there would be a zombie there. So yeah, I am assuming there's an El Gigante here, and that we're going to hook shot. Interesting. Hook shot or open? Let's hook shot. Which maybe that means open isn't actually available to you. It won't open, it must be locked. I'm going to, at this point, assume that you never get a spinel. And then the doors are open, and if it was an El Gigante that was going to chase you, that wouldn't make the most amount of sense. So this may be more of a killing field where it actively just has a bunch of people high up trying to see. I don't understand. Yeah, you just gotta get in the right spot to hook shot you up to this area. You now have all 3 cat's eyes and the health. You can't slide over or climb over to that section. So yeah, I'm a little confused as to what's gonna happen here, unless it really is kind of an area where there is nothing that happens. There's a danger of letting the player's paranoia set in too much in a game like this. Yeah. So I guess if we get through this whole area and there's nothing here, then is the next big fight actually in the cabin with Lewis? Is that the reason Lewis disappears? Is because Ada grabs him and gives him more of an assignment? Or a new assignment? Like, Lewis working for the organization doesn't get explained particularly well. Yeah, it would almost make more sense if Ada came out and said Wesker's kidnapped his sister or something and is forcing him to work with Wesker. Because Lewis as a bad guy just doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're going to make Lewis a bad guy, then he needed to probably turn into a monster at some point so we could fight him. He could have been a prototypical Wesker character with like a high firing rate or a high movement rate as a character. So, which button is it? I may not be pushing the button hard enough to do it in 2 rows. It always makes you dodge. And boy, is that just a great example of how the game is just too easy with your TMP at a high level. Really shouldn't have ever been able to engage with an El Gigante with a half leveled up TMP. I can't help but assume that there is a hookshot prompt here, but I am not seeing it. So, unless there was another hookshot prompt somewhere around here, like it seems like there would have been a hookshot prompt to go up here, and I'm not seeing it. And then there would be a hookshot prompt to go up here, and I'm not seeing it. Yeah. Some of this content, like the stuff up here, probably was put here because they were thinking about Ada potentially having a hookshot and doing that, but I could also believe that they were just trying to make the images and pictures look better and more interesting. We are so full of health. It really is not even funny. Like, right. So another secondary El Gigante would have had to.
You guys go on ahead.
Would have to have
Lewis.
spawned in that same area.
Hey, señorita, got a light and some smokes to go with it to make my day?
Where's the sample?
Okay, we skipped the foreplay. As a matter of fact, I was just going to get it. Where's the love, baby?
Sounds like fun to me. Just hurry up.
Okay, lady. Where do you stand on all of this? Exactly what kind of group are you working for?
There are some things in the world better off not knowing. This is one of them.
Fine, I can take a hint. I don't care who you are, as long as you get rid of that old man and his religious friends.
It would almost make more sense if Lewis was from the village and he had a direct vendetta against Sadler. And that's why he was helping Ada and all that. Yeah, but not a lot happened there.
Among
As
all
far
the
as
people
the
involved
wrap-up.
in this, Luis Serra has the least entanglements. He works for no organization, preferring to move on his own. I'm the one who told the organization of his importance. I did it because I like him. His history betrays an enthusiasm I once shared. It was a stroke of luck that I happened to intercept his email for help. It seems he can't trust the police, so he sent the email to an old friend from college. He must have thought his friend was still alive. At any rate, that's how I managed to find him. Apparently, he's been conducting his own investigation of the cult while doing research on Las Plagas. A brilliant scientist. He's accumulated a pile of data.
Doesn't
and pieced
really
it all
look like
together.
a scientist.
Must be
Doesn't
why
fit the
Sadler hired
stereotype.
him. Too bad Sarah's snooping has aroused his suspicion. When I told him who I was, he practically begged to be taken into custody. He needed protection. He said, I have no love for Las Plagas or this stupid cult. I want out. I just want peace and quiet again. I ordered him to bring me a Master Plaga specimen, a sample for evidence. Looks like he's one of the few people whom Sadler actually trusts. Tracking him down and getting my hands on the sample.
We're getting like the same cutscenes.
I doubt
There's
cult
the
will take
video of
kindly
him
to his
shooting
escape,
Leon,
though.
by the way.
I'll have to guide this along if I want it to go smoothly.
So yeah, they just use like almost every scene with Lewis in it. He definitely is a character that was not fleshed out enough, even in this point. Yeah. There really is nothing to say about him either. He's just kind of a nothing character. This explains what he's doing a little bit more. It doesn't make a lot of sense that Ada Wong would be hacking emails or intercepting emails. You'd almost have to show a cutscene of her just killing his old college friend, whoever that was, and then an email popping up and her just getting curious and reading it. Which that would just be way too much of a coincidence. Well, it would make a lot more sense if Wesker was hacking the emails and then maybe making Ada read it just because he's lazy. So that's report 2. Let's go ahead and save again. Same old place, might as well. Did we get all of the treasures? Well, actually, I'm not sure we did or we didn't, because it depends on if we're in the same place or if we're in a different place. Nope.
Put your hands where I can
Well,
see
I'm
them.
screwed at this
Sorry,
point if I
following a
miss the
lady's
beer
lead just
sign.
isn't my style.
Put them up now.
There's no quick time event, I think, around this. Or I hope.
Bit of advice, try using knives next time. Works better for close encounters.
So we just jumped directly into the
Leon,
middle of the castle.
long time no see.
Ada. So it is true.
True? About what?
You, working with Wesker.
I see you've been doing your homework.
Why, Ada?
This looks like this is
What's it to
one
you?
of the more remastered
Why are you
cutscenes
here?
in engine
Why'd you show up like this?
versus the pre-rendered cutscenes, which that would make sense because this is the cutscene we've already seen.
See you around.
Ada!
Luis has succeeded in recovering the sample. He's waiting in the castle. Get in contact with him ASAP.
That's just the map
Understood.
turned 90
And that
degrees.
U.S. government lapdog, Leon.
If you do happen to encounter him, put him out of commission. We can't let him interfere with our plans.
He has no idea what's going on. He's nothing we need to worry about.
He's a survivor of Raccoon City. We can do without the extra distraction. Take him out.
Of course, Leah, she never does try. Alright. So one of two things happened there. Either the beer stein was never collectible, or I screwed up. But I don't know how I screwed up. And that's the weird part. Like, because, and I can't even show it, it looked to me like the beer stein was right at the point where the bridge would have collapsed, which is funny because Lewis was the person running past that point where I think the bridge had collapsed. So I don't even know how, maybe the bridge hadn't collapsed. But then it just activated the cutscene, so maybe the game is just that badly made, or maybe they were just teasing you. All I can do, I guess, now is not sell these and just hold on to them until the end of the game. I have so much money anyways, it doesn't matter. We're much worse off as far as just having space than having money. And nothing is hurting me enough
Welcome.
to justify.
Got a selection of good things on sale, straight. What are you selling?
Upgrading my health. So we'll sell two
Is that all?
spells.
Thank you.
We'll keep all of these.
What are you buying?
Let's see.
Is that all?
We'll go ahead and get the treasure map.
Is that all?
We'll go ahead and get a bigger
Thank
case.
You.
And there's this bow gun for 70,000. The bow gun is weird because the bows you get have this
Come back
explosive
anytime.
nature to them. I don't think it's worth potentially cutting that and hurting him. Let's go ahead and just play with this. So yeah, we'll collect bowgun bolts. It would take us a little bit of time to have room for the bowgun itself. We can play around here some more with moving plants. This is probably the right amount of room for the bowgun. If I could afford it to buy it right now, it would fit probably right about there. And yeah, you'd almost think that you could just hookshot your way out of this. The game needed to really have established the idea that hookshots were going to be more of a thing. Like there needed to be points at which hookshots you would think maybe that there would be hookshot points in the air that you can look up and see them and then target them with your reticles. But that probably isn't the best way to do that either. You're probably better off. There we go, we can finally use that. We now have a level of upgraded enemies, which now it starts to make some sense to use some of these other guns. That guy is going to be chasing me for a while here. These guys are moving all over to catch up with me. And yeah. Apparently upgrading your health is not going to help you much. I really need a tactical vest. More than anything else. I could have jumped down here. Which I think means I can actually just leave this area. And yep, this knife is not strong enough. Our tactical vest is not strong enough. We've got a lot of stuff that needs improvement. And I guess the idea is that the dogs have already come and gone because the kennels slash cages are empty. I don't think the dogs were particularly that good anyways as enemies. I suppose this does show the value in having the other kind of semi-automatic rifle instead of the regular rifle. Although I still think I prefer the regular rifle. I just think the trade-off you make in damage probably doesn't pay for itself in the long run. Because you get into these situations like this, in particular, where the headshots just don't want to pop. And so then you end up either having to do a lot of base damage to account for the fact that the headshots don't want to pop, and that it doesn't want to give you the critical. Let's see. Did we get a map yet? Yeah. There are 3 treasures. I just picked up 1. That implies to me there probably isn't a extra treasure in this game, in this area, that has items that need to merge together. This would be probably a good time to pick up a better gun. And certainly you could change how the game plays in that aspect. Instead of getting upgrades for guns, you simply replace your gun. The game storyline forces you to replace a gun, or gives you the option to replace a gun with one that is just by default upgraded a lot more. Or you could have made me do the shooting gallery, or you could have made me do kind of practically anything. This door is open, and that door is open, and then that door is open, and that door is open, so I guess it's take your pick as to which way you want to go. We've been going for about an hour, so it wouldn't be a terrible thought to find a typewriter if we can. Oops. That was not the gun I should have used. Generally, I don't want to come back into this room. And we'll have to figure out how many bolts you can really store in one bundle, because if it is a significant amount of, or a very small amount of bolts, and it's taking up a ridiculous amount of space, then we'll have to think about selling the bolts. Alright. So, yeah. The fact that we're getting a ton of yellows is really the only thing that's saving us here, as far as why our health is going up as fast as it is. Otherwise, we really wouldn't have our health going up that high. And I'm now at this point just wasting time organizing. Yeah. I guess what'll happen is we'll sell this, and then at some point we buy the bow gun. If the bow gun was like the mine thrower, in that you find the bolts up to like 9 and then it stops letting you find any more, that would be interesting. I think I want to go the opposite direction here and just go around, check out this room, and then come through this room and then we'll end up in this room anyways. So we've got to do something to unlock this door. Anyways, as far as treasures, there's only one more treasure, so it can't possibly be anything other than maybe the beer stein. Otherwise, the game just either didn't let you collect the beer stein, or I played very poorly. Alright, let's see. Kind of doesn't matter though. And I think it's really important to point out here, I don't think you've got much of an experience in a new game plus in separate ways. Because there's just no challenge in this at all. I'm basically playing it on easy, and if anything, this is highlighting what an easy playthrough would have been in the main game, just kind of breezing through it. You may take the same, if not even slightly more damage in easy mode, but then you get more health anyways, so it still makes it easier. The only thing that could happen here in the remaining couple of chapters, which we see there's 5 chapters, we're in chapter 3, would be if the enemies just get significantly tougher for some reason or somehow, but that would be out of line with their actual toughness in the main game. What really needed to happen here is you needed Krauser to show up as an antagonist, probably in chapter 1, and or a new enemy to show up as an antagonist in chapter 1 and stalk you. That creature that they just call it, for instance, had it been chasing you from chapter 1 and then you have to fight it and then it comes back to life multiple times, you could have done that in chapter 1, chapter 3, and chapter 5, and that would have worked fairly well as Ada's boss to defeat. Or Krauser would have worked. Or Lewis could have even been the bad guy. Since Ada is working for Wesker and kind of acting as the bad guy, if Lewis showed up and you had to fight Lewis, but you couldn't actually kill him, or you never actually successfully kill him for some reason because he runs away, that would at least do something with the character. Anyways, I'm going to just repeat myself if I go too long here, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.